God.
Okay, let's do the prayer. We can do the arati first. Yeah, please go ahead. We'll do the arati. Om na karmana na prajaya dhani na tyagai naike amrutatva manasuhu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajati dajyatayo vishanti vedanta vijnana sunischitartha sannyasa yoga jataya suddha sattva aha te brahma loke tu para antakale paramrutat parimucyanti sarve dakram vipapam parame esvabhutam yat pundarikam puramajja sargastham tatra vidahnam gaganam vishokastasmin yadantas tadupasitavyam yo vedadau swara prokto vedante cha pratisthitah tasya prakriti līnasya yah parasva mahishwarah na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi tameva bhantamanubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati om har har namah parvati pataye har har mahadev Sri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah, that is there because it's online.
Okay. Let's do 3 Oms and Sahana Vavatu and Guru Stotra. Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Stotram. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darsitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yat Kinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapi Yat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva. Tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidyat dravidam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Hari Om. We are starting the Upanishad. We're going to take Kathopanishad. And the Upanishads are part of the Jnana Kanda of the Vedas. After the Karma Kanda, the end part of the Vedas or the Upanishads, therefore it's Vedanta. Vedanta is end part of the Vedas. And Veda also means knowledge, and Vedanta means it is the ultimate knowledge, that which is contained in the Veda Upanishads. And Upanishad itself, Shankara defines as, it has Upa plus Ni plus Sad. Sad has three meanings as per Shankara. One is to destroy, and the second is to go or reach or to attain, and the third one is to loosen or weaken. And all three has a relevance in terms of this Upanishad, because Ni means Nischayam, that is that which is determination. With determination, one can destroy, or one can reach, or one can loosen or weaken. And Upa means Samipe. Therefore, by approaching this text or Jnana Kanda or Upanishad itself or the Vedanta, one can destroy the ignorance or the samsara that is caused because of ignorance. So therefore, the destruction of wrong notions about myself, so that I understand what is the real truth. So that is Sad, and that can be done by studying Upanishad. And it will take me or reach me, attain the status of Brahman. It's attaining means understanding here, because Brahman means infinite, and I cannot attain infinite. A finite cannot attain infinite unless I am already infinite. So by studying Upanishad, I recognize my true nature, that I am indeed Brahman. That means I understand, I was, I am, I ever be Brahman. And that is reaching, or understanding is attaining. And in the process of study of the Upanishads also, we loosen our misunderstandings, therefore, or weaken our misunderstandings, and therefore it's also applicable as Sad. So all the three meanings are relevant in terms of Upanishad. And there are many Upanishads, and of these Upanishads, some 10 are considered as a major Upanishads, only because Acharyas have written bhashyas on these, and Kathopanishad forms one of the 10 main Upanishads. Now in this Upanishad, the teacher is Lord Yama, and the student is Nachiketa, and it is a dialogue between the teacher and the taught. As all other scriptures are, it's not commandments, but it is a discussion, a dialogue, where a student approaches a teacher and asks for knowledge. And same happens in this Upanishads too. And depending upon the qualifications and the purity of the mind of the student, a teacher provides that knowledge. And in this, you will see a student who is most qualified to receive that knowledge. That is being determined by the teacher by providing a test, in fact. And he finds Nachiketa is one of the exemplary student, therefore he teaches this highest knowledge. And in this Upanishad, there are 2 chapters essentially called Adhyayas, and in each Adhyaya there are sections or 3 vallis. Valli is a section, and there are total, we have 2 chapters with 3 vallis in each, total 6 subsections in the whole Upanishad. So with that background, we can study now the Kathopanishad, and this comes under Taittiriya Brahmana, and all the Upanishads start with invocation, and in this Upanishad also we have the invocation sloka, that in fact what we chanted before. And now we will take that Upanishad, that Shanti Pata, more detail now. Say Om Sahana Bhavatu, Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahai, Vidvishavahai. Om Shantihi, Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. So Om is Akarani Uchite Vishnu says Om is Omitye Kaksharam Brahma. So Om stands for Brahman. So it says Om, O Lord, you can see. This is addressing the totality. And Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Avatu. So Sahanau means now is 2. So here the student as well as the teacher are doing the prayers. Therefore, this duality here is considered as 2 subjects here. So Sahanau Avatu. Avatu means protect us. May you protect us both. Saha means here he. So here the statement starts with, let him protect us. Let, O Lord, he is referred to. So let we be protected by you, essentially. And starting with Saha, Saha means he. So without any reference, a noun is being, pronoun is being used. Because when you say he, we should have some reference to who is that he. But somebody is referenced, then we have previously been referred to, so that we can say we are talking about him. But here, without any reference, we are talking about he. So he must be a universal person who doesn't need any other reference. So that he here, therefore, Saha refers to the Lord himself. So Saha, now Avatu. So may he protect us both. And here most of the Upanishad's teaching is where the student is going to the teacher, and the teacher himself is sitting in Himalayas, and there is not much of disturbance anywhere, protection is required. But therefore, what kind of protection they are looking for while they are studying this Upanishad? So here we have to understand, please protect us. Implication is protect us from all disturbances that he is going to list now, later. All those disturbances, so that our study, at least during this time, we may concentrate on the study. So Sahana Avatu. So may he protect us both. Sahanau Bhunaktu. May he protect us both. Again, Bhunaktu also could mean protection. But here, the protection of the knowledge that he received from the teaching. Therefore, it is, let the knowledge remain with us. So, as soon as here and it doesn't, one year and it doesn't go through other years. So, let that knowledge be retained so that we can both enjoy it in a way. So, both the teacher and the student also praying together. Sahaviryam karavavahai. May we put forth the best actions at our level. may we put forth the maximum effort, both in terms of the teacher in the teaching and from the point of student in learning or listening to the teaching with attention. So therefore, he is requesting, O Lord, please bless us so that the teaching can go on as perfect as possible. So therefore, Sahaviryam Karava, may we put forth our efforts maximum, and Tejasvina Vadhitamastu. So Tejasvina, may our study become brilliant because of this. Therefore, may the knowledge that sink into us, and by that our Tejas means the brightness of our itself is glorified, because when the knowledge comes in, you enjoy it. That enjoyment should be there as from the point of student, and also enjoyment from the point of teacher. So when a teacher teaches, says there are two learning. One is the student and another is the teacher. Because in the very teaching itself, a lot of effort is required to make sure the student is able to pick it up. So it is a lesson for the teacher too. And then Om Shantihi, Shantihi and Shantihi. So there are three Shantis. So it's considered as three types of obstacles. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. But what kind of obstacles? Obstacles are divided into three types. One is that we don't know the source even. We call it Adi Daivikam. That means it is perhaps all due to God. So in the American insurance system, it says it is protected but not against the acts of God. So what are the acts of God? It says the flooding and all that, these are considered as acts of God. So only bad things are considered as acts of God, and insurance doesn't cover those. So here we want to ensure, oh Lord, please protect us from the sources of unknown origin. That is what Adi Daivikam. And Om Shantihi. So let us be protected from the obstacles that we know the origin, but we have no control of it. So we know where the source is, but at the same time we cannot do anything about it. So you do something about it to protect us from those. Like a neighbor want to have a big TV or loud TV, and it's blasting in his house, but we are getting disturbed here. So we know where the source is, but we cannot help it. So therefore we have no control. This is called Adi Bhautika. One is Adi Daivika, another is Adi Bhautika, and Shantihi, where Adhyatmika, where the disturbances can come from within, where the things may be a disturbance at my physical level or the mental level or intellectual level. Let there be peace for that. So all the three types of obstacles, Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. So this is an invocation always done when the teaching goes on. All other invocations, you see, so give me that, or uplift me, or let me listen to this, and so on. But here is an invocation which is universal invocation. Therefore, this is always chanted before any study. And that's what we do. In fact, before we take up the study of Upanishad or any class, we start with Sahana Bhavatu. So that itself is the invocation sloka of this. Now, in this Upanishad, the first section deals with essentially Upodghatam. Upodghatam is introduction, in introducing the student and the teacher. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter and part of the up till 10th sloka of the second chapter involves upodghatam, where a student is brought to the teacher and the student surrenders himself to the teacher and asks for the questions. So therefore this is the same upodghatam is required in order to say who is the student and who is the teacher, what's the qualification of the student, and what are the qualifications of the teacher, are all specified. In fact, in this Upanishad, there is a glorification of the teacher as well as the glorification of the student is done here. So here the teacher himself is Yama. Yama is the Lord of Death. So a Upanishadic student is dared to go to even to the Lord of Death and wants to learn. Even at those moments of ready to die, he wants to know what is the nature of the truth. And in the Gita it says, even if even in the last minute, if you think of me, you will reach the highest. That's what in the Gita says. And here, whether it's the last minute or not, it is a Lord of Death is supposed to be the last exist. And he himself is a teacher here. Yama is a teacher. And the student is a boy, Nachiketas. And this is the dialogue between the two. And all Upanishads, a dialogue is always provided. So teaching is always in terms of a discussion rather than the commandments. So the student is allowed to ask questions. He is not questioning the teacher, but questioning his understanding. And because that's the only way knowledge can take place. So teacher should know what are the problems the student has so that he can clarify the knowledge. So therefore, all our scriptures are of the type of the student-teacher discussions called Samvadam. Samvadam is where, like Krishna-Arjuna Samvade. Samvada means a dialogue, a discussion between a higher and a lower, from the teacher and to the student. Whereas the Vadam is between two equals, where let us sit down and discuss what should be done or what should be the solution, where two equal people are sitting down and coming to some agreement, and that's called Vadam. And this is not they are trying to argue and come up. This is Samvadam, where the knowledge has to flow from higher to the lower, and student is ready with the Shraddha, with faith in the teacher, what the teacher says is indeed correct. And my only problem is I am not able to have a clear understanding. So the questioning is only questioning of his problems of in understanding wise. It's not a questioning the teacher, but questioning the understanding. And the teacher, out of compassion, has to uplift the student so that he can appreciate the teaching itself. So with that background, let's start the first mantra. This is the introduction, where how Nachiketa is led to the teacher. So let's do as we continue. Excuse me. Okay. Om Ushan Havai Vajasravasaha Sarvavedasam Dadau. So this is the mantra 1. So here we are introduced to the father of Nachiketas. His name is Vajasravas. So Vajasravas Gautama is the father of our Nachiketa student, and he is doing a yajna. So he is a Gautama that we will hear later when Nachiketa talks up to Yama. Says he is essentially Vajasravasaha Gautama. Vajasravas Gautam. So he is doing a yajna. So we are introduced to a situation where the father is performing a regular yajna, so that means he is doing a karma kanda aspect. So he comes from a family or a tradition where this Nitya Agnihotras and all that is being done, regular karma kanda yagas are being done, and why they do it? In the karma kanda, you perform this yajna for this result. Therefore, there is a result motivated yajnas are there, and therefore there are two types of yajnas one can think of. One is where it is the propelled by a desire to achieve something. If I want to go to heavens, I have to do certain yajna. So if I want son, I have to do putra kameshti and all that. And it's very expensive also. Putra kameshti is not very cheap. It's very expensive. Why? Because they want to make sure that you have enough money to take care of the children. So if you are already pauper, then you cannot do the putra kameshti yajna. So this is the approach. That means we are being introduced to a family of a traditional Vedantins, who performs the regular yajnas and for some purpose. So they call Sakama Yajna. So Sakama Yajna means where the yajna is motivated to achieve some result. And whenever the yajna is motivated for some result, then yajna has to be done exactly as prescribed. That is the implication. If it is a Sakama yajna, you have to follow the rules as it is. If you don't follow, then you won't get the result. So people say, oh, we do perform yajna, but we didn't get it result. That means you have to not done properly. So if you don't do, or if you make a mistake in the performance, there is already a prescription of how to correct it also. It's called prayaschitta. So if there is some error involved in this, then you have to do 1,000 times of some namavali or mantra. All those things are prescribed for particular errors that you do. So implication is, whenever there is a Sakama Yajna, the process has to be done exactly as prescribed. Now why it is all? Because that's how it starts. Om. So Ushan means one who is desiring for something. So he is desiring here, the Vajasravas. Vajasravas is desiring something and therefore performing. Therefore this is a Sakama Yajna. And in that Yajna, he has to follow the rules. Exactly. Otherwise he won't get the result. And he may get wrong result also if he doesn't do properly also. So implication here, Ushan, desiring for something higher lokas. So, why indeed? Vajasravasaha, the Vajasravas is performing this. What is he performing? So, Vishwajit Yogam. This is called Vishwajit Yogam, where this Yagam, Vishwajit Yagam, where he has to give everything that he has. This is a peculiar yajna, where in the process you have to give dakshina. Dakshina is part of yajna. It's not separate. So dakshina is part of the completeness. For completeness, dakshina is included also. In fact, in our scriptures, everything is, any yajna involves a dakshina, and with that dakshina only the complete. That's why Swami Chinmayana used to call this is a jnana yajna. And Krishna calls also, of all yajnas, jnana yajna is the most supreme yajna also. And teaching of Vedanta is also a yajna, where both the teacher and student are performing and offering oblations, where they are what is offered is the ignorance there. So that has to be understood. And therefore, obviously, there is a Guru Dakshana also involved in the Jnana Yajna. So in this, Ushan, which is desiring for higher lokas, says, why? Vajasravasaha, Sarvavedasam dadau. Sarvavedasam dadau means he has to give everything that he has. That is the definition. The yajnam itself demands you have to give everything in order to get higher loka. So that was the type of this Visvajit Yagam. That's what Visvajit Yagam is involved. Now, question that comes here, as you see, you have to give everything. What about if I have useless things? Should I give it or not? Actually, this may be my interpretation, but what you have to give has to be useful for people. What is the point in giving? I don't like it, therefore you have it. So when people give some gifts, say we don't like it, somebody gave this and we don't get it, let's give it to somebody else. And so it keeps rotating ultimately to you, because we get somebody gifts and we can't use it. So what do? We give it to somebody else. That's the wrong way of doing it. So here we are being taught what you give has to be useful to them. In fact, Nachiketa is going to tell us that also. So here, everything has to be given, but that doesn't mean that you have to give the garbage, that you, even if you have it. So everything useful has to be given to others, then only it has a meaning also. So Sarva Vedasam Dadao, where one has to give everything in this yajna as dakshina. Now this is the introduction. Now we are introducing this gentleman, which is Vajasravas, is performing this yajna, where he is supposed to give everything that he has useful to others as a part of yajna. Now let's go to the second with that introduction. Tagamha kumaragam santam. Kumaragam santam. You can say tamha, tagamsa is the Vedic way of pronunciation. Because
Tasyaha.
Second line.
Nachiketas.
Tasyaha Nachiketa nama putra asa.
Oh,
Second line.
Named son.
this doesn't have there.
Just be
Only mentioned in the introduction.
You do not in this for some reason. No, that is this.
That is the second mantra in that. Yeah, that is
Second
fine.
line of the same mantra.
Tasyaha.
Oh, okay. Okay. Tasyaha Nachiketa nama putra asa.
Tasyaha Nachiketa nama putra asa.
Okay. Tasyaha Nachiketa nama. This is a simple statement. Says Tasya means this Nachiketa, the father that we mentioned, Vajasravas, is having Nachiketa nama, Nachiketa's name, putra asa. So he has a son by name Nachiketa. Okay, that's true. I don't know why I didn't see that one. Anyway, that's good. So people are listening. So, okay, let's go to the next sloka. So, not only he has introduced now the Yajamana of the Yajna, Vajasravas, and he has a son by name Nachiketas, and he is also there now. Tagamha kumaragam santam. Sumaragam santam dakshinasu niyamanasu Shraddha vivesha so manyata. Okay. So Tagam is Tam Kumaram Santam. So that son of that Kumara, that son we just introduced as Nachiketas, he is a Kumaram. Kumara means he is of that age. So we have a Kumara, Yavana, there is a Bala, Kumara. Kumara comes under around 8 to 10 years old. So in the process of word, we have specified how old he is essentially. So within the range of 8 to 10. So maximum 10 and minimum 8. So that is Kumara. So Nachiketas is of that age. And being of that age, Tam Kumaram Santam. So Dakshinasu Niyamanasu. The Dakshinasu, the ones that are gifts that are being distributed. So he is observing now. So he is of the age, that's what father is doing. And he is watching what his father is doing. He says the gifts are being, because that's a part of the yoga, the yajna, where he has to give give everything that he has, everything useful that he has. And dakshinasu niyamanasu, the gift that has to be distributed, Shraddha avivesha. So for him, suddenly he got, because he is already exposed from the childhood all these yajnas and yagas, and when he saw this yajna and being offered, where his father is offering, because of the shraddha that he has about the scriptures and the rules and the regulations that need to be followed. So one has to follow rigorously. That means you should have that faith that I had to do this, I had to do this in that order. So he has that shraddha already, even though he is Kumara. That means because of his brought up of and being observing from the childhood on, these yajnas are being done, he has the complete faith in the scriptural doctrine and declarations and the commandments of the scriptures. So that shraddha is overwhelmed by the shraddha, avesham. So manyata. So he started thinking. Now why he started thinking? Because he has shraddha. He is observing the yajna of his father, and he knows the rules and regulations of the yajna, and he has the complete faith that one has to follow the rules and regulations. And looking at what's happening there, he started thinking. So something is happening there that got his attention, and that is specified in the next sloka, next mantra. So if I'm skipping something, let me know. So mantra 3. Pitodaka jagdatruna. Pitodaka jagdatruna. Dugdha deha nirindriyaha.
Dugdha deha nirindriyaha.
Ananda namate lokastan. What happened? Ananda.
Ananda.
No. Ananda. Not Ananda. Ananda Nama is not Anda. That's why Ananda. Ananda Namate Lokastan. Sagachati tadadat. Okay. So he is observing, and what is observing? Here his father is doing yajna. He is supposed to give everything to others which are useful, obviously, because when they go, and whatever dakshina has to be useful to the people who have given. And what is he giving? Here he says, Pitodaka. Pitodaka means Pita means drinking. So they have already drunk. So what I mean, not that they got drunk. It is they could not drink anymore. It means they have reached a state where they can't even drink. That's how you have to interpret. Pitodaka means they have drunk, means they finished drinking, means they cannot drink anymore. They don't have the capacity to drink anymore, even water also. That kind of old cows, that's what the implication is. Because at that time, the wealth is in terms of cows and the children also. Putra also is a wealth considered as. So Pitodaka. So Jagdatruna is grass. They have eaten whatever need to be eaten. That means they cannot eat even properly also anymore. So they are such very old cows. They cannot even drink because they have drunk enough in their whole life, and they cannot even eat properly the grass. Dugdha deha. And they have given enough milk in their life. They cannot even give any more milk. That means they are useless cows. They can't eat. They can't even drink milk. So what are you going to do with the cows other than taking care of them? Because he can't take care of it, he is giving them. So that's not dhanam. So dugdha deha nirindriyaha. Nirindriyaha means here indriyas is essentially, implication is they cannot even reproduce. That means they are not useful even to produce another cows. So that old cows, and that's what is being distributed, and that's what he observed, and he has a faith in the scriptures that you have to give properly. So my father is either holding good ones and giving this one, or he ran out of all good ones and then he is dispersing all the useless ones also. We don't know whatever the reason, but this caught attention that my father is doing something he should not be doing. That's essentially the meaning of the whole thing is. And when you do that, you go to, not he is doing this holy yagam to go to higher lokas. That is the purpose of the yagam. But by doing this, he is concerned, my father is doing something that is going to take him to lower lokas. What are the lower lokas? So, Ananda Nama Te Lokastan Sagachati Tadadat. So that Nanda is happiness. Ananda is where there is no happiness. So where there is a suffering, so the lokas there that are nama means well known as that causes more suffering than anything else. So this bhumi comes in between. There are lokas, there are other lokas where more suffering, and higher lokas more enjoyment. So there is higher lokas and lower lokas, and we have less between mixture of suffering and also here there is a gradation also. Some people suffer more, some people enjoy more, depending upon how much of the punyam they have accumulated in the past lives. So whatever you have given in the past, you are only enjoying now. You don't get any new things here. So you have to deposit something, and my father is giving something which is depositing wrong things. Therefore, he is going to end up in Ananda Nama Te Lokastan Sagachati Tadadat. So therefore, he is going to go to lokas that is going to be suffering for him. This so manyata. The previous one, it says, he started thinking about this problem. What my father is doing? And being a son, now I have to take a responsibility. How old is he? He is Kumaraha. He is only at the most 10 years old or 9 years old. Average wise is 9 years old. And looking at what his father is saying, he got concerned, and welfare of his father started worrying him about. So in this we have introduced, the scripture is introducing what type of student Nachiketa is. First, he has this Shraddha in the scriptures. So scripture is not the pramana. Vedas are pramana. Pramana are means of knowledge, and this means of knowledge, for this we need a Shraddha, because it's not something objectifiable, it's not something logically deduced. Is there a punyam? Is there a life after death? Is there all those things, punyam, all those things? There is nothing I cannot say, this is punyam, this is papam, or logically we can deduce it, and I should have faith in the scriptures. Without faith in the scriptures, there is no way I can gain the knowledge that is revealed in the scriptures. But therefore, Shraddha is one of the requirements of a student of Vedanta. So here, that part is being specified, and Nachiketa has the greatest Shraddha than even a father has, right? Because the father knows that he should not be giving. But here, Nachiketa has so much of Shraddha in the scriptures is, if you give this kind of dhanam, you are going to suffer as a consequence of that. And therefore, he is one, he is already have the Shraddha. And he is concerned about what is the consequence as result of my father not doing properly also. So the consequence of the action that my father is not doing. So he is going to say something to the father. Saho vacha pitaram
Sahovacha pitaram
tata kasmai
tata kasmai
mam dasyasiti
mam dasyasiti
dvitiyam
dvitiyam
trutiyam
trutiyam
tagum hovacha
tagamhovacha
mruchavetva dadamiti.
Ruchavetva dadamiti.
Okay. So, Saha Uvacha, so he said to Pitaram, to the father, so Tata Kasmai Mam Dasyasiti. So he's asking his father, he says, to whom will you give me? So here, in the previous sloka, he's concerned, my father is going to go to the hell, more or less, right? He's going to the lower lokas. And he's a putra. Putra is, meaning of putra is the one who protects the father from going to some narakam. There is an implication is Punnama narakam is there, and he's the one who protects the father from preventing him from going by doing whatever the karmas that need to be done by the son. So only when we perform those karmas that need to be done by a son, the father is prevented from going from that, not just having a putra. So he is already been introduced as a putra, right? The one who prevents his father from going to Naraka. So he already is concerned about that. So he is doing his job already, making sure his father doesn't enter in that. So the way he wants to solve is, actually in this yajna you have to give everything, whatever your possessions are. And according to our scriptures, the son and wife are also part of the possessions. Why? Because you remember the karma, the kanya danam has been done. So kanya danam, I know Bala is looking at me. So kanya danam has been done. That means it is given as a danam. That means it is a property of the husband. I asked my daughter, should I give you kanya danam or not? So once I give, I'm not going to take you back. So she said, yes, I want to follow the rules and regulations of the scripture. So according to our wishes only, I gave her kanya danam. But therefore, here the son and the wife are also considered as part of the property of the Yajamana. So he considered, so when you are doing this yajna, you have to give everything that can be useful to others. Remember that also. So he is now asking a question. Saho vacha pitaram tata kasmai mam dasyasiti. To whom are you going to give me? So in the implication is, I'm going to be useful for somebody at least. So, and you have to give me also, because I am also a property considered as. So in this you have to give everything that is useful to others. Therefore you have to give me also. So to whom are you going to give me? And that's one implication. The other interpretation of this situation is, the father is saving a good cows and giving a bad cows. Good cows so that his son can enjoy. But now son is coming, whom are you going to give me first? So you are trying to save some cows for my sake, but you should give me first also. So how can you save the other cows? Therefore first give me, whom are you going to give me? So he's reminding father that it is an obligation for him to give something. No, even the son also has to be given as per that yajna. So saho vacha pitaram tada kasmai mam dasyasiti. So when he asked that question, father says, this boy is talking something, so he didn't respond. Sometimes it's easier to ignore when you're doing a serious things and people keep coming and disturbing. So he thought, this boy is disturbing me unnecessarily. So he kept quiet, no response. So Dvitiyam is, he asked again. So whom are you going to give me? To whom are you going to give me? No response. Trutiyam. So third time he asked again, to whom are you going to give me? So father got irritated. Sagum ho vacha mruchave tva dadamiti. He was so irritated, says, I am going to give you to death. So essentially, unto death. So because I go to hell, we call somebody is irritating, we give him to the hell, right? When you say go to hell, so that is, but our words won't mean much, but here the words mean a lot. So here I am going to give you to the death itself. Unto death I will give you. So this was the statement of the father in the Yajnashala. Okay, remember all the context here. Now Nachiketa is having a problem. Because question that he has is, he's only 9-year-old. How am I going to be useful to Yama? That's his concern. Not that he's going to Yama, he's not worried about it. He has to go to a place where it will be useful for them. I should serve them. That's what my dana means. Therefore, he is wondering, how is Yama going to use I'm only a small boy. How is he going to, because he has enough people to take care of his needs. So he started wondering, how is he going to how am I going to be useful to Yama? So he already planning to do what he has to do in case if Yama accepts it and takes him, and what he can do. Is there anything at all he can do for Yama for his service? And also why Yama he is giving me? He could have given me. Am I that useless? I should be useful. So here he is questioning himself about his capacity here, and therefore he is reflecting on his own mind. So mantra 5. Bahuna memi pratamaha.
Bahuna memi pratamaha.
Bahuna memi madhyamaha.
Bahuna memi madhyamaha.
Kigim svidyamasya kartavyam.
Kim sidhyamasya kartavyam.
Yanmayadya karishyati.
Yanmayadya karishyati.
Okay. Bahuna memi. So he is evaluating himself. Says, I'm not really that bad. So looking at my whole this one is, among many students, after all I'm a student and I'm a student of my own father. That's called the best student in the best education, where the teacher himself in the Chandogya also, Uddalaka teaches Swetaketu, where the father himself is the teacher. Here, this father is also teacher for the Nachiketas, and he says, I know a lot of other students also, and in many subjects, Bahunam, among all the students, I am Pratama, I am almost top rank student. So he's evaluating, I'm not that useless. So at least I know a little bit of whatever I learned. So Bahuna memi pratamaha. Bahuna memi madhyamaha. Maybe in some subjects I may be not on the top, but not in the bottom though. Madhyam means I am somewhere in the middle rank. So I am not lower rank. So I know a little bit of Vedas, and I have Shraddha, and I am almost in the top rank in many of the subjects, and therefore Kim Svidya Asya is Yama, to Yama, Kartavyam says what he can do, useful, what purpose, what useful purpose I can do for him, or what can I do to help Yama in his duties. So after all, I know a little bit. I am top in my class in some of the subjects and some in not. But still, can I be useful at all? I mean, he has a questions about, can I be useful at all to Yama at all when I go there? Yanmayadya karishyati. And what my father will get back in return, because when you offer something, the other people also have to give you back something. So what is that he can get back by giving me to Yama, who is useless to Yama, that is not that much useful. At least some old man, something, I can take care of him and for a walking or doing other things, all sorts of several things I can do, useful, I will be useful for somebody else. But for Yama, he already has everything. So what use of me? How can be useful? And since I'm not that useful. So what is Yama going to give in return of this kind of dhanam? So he's concerned about his father also by giving him. So what purpose Yama I can be useful for Yama, and what my father is going to gain by this kind of dhanam. So this is this scene up to this point. They all must have gone home after the scene is over, and suddenly the father realized, what did I say? Says, I said to Yama, to the death, to his only son maybe. Says, now he is repenting about what he said. The father is repenting. Not the son. Son is only repenting that he is not going to be useful to Yama. That is his concern. But father is repenting for what he did and or what he said. And now, implication is whatever you say has a validity also has to be understood. And now, when father is having a problem, debating, should he follow my instructions? I said in anger, I said something, maybe that's not valid. He can get back, not to follow my instructions here. So he has perhaps a doubt, and Nachiketa could detect it. Now he is going to give a sermon to his father now. Anupasya yatha purve, Anupasya yatha purve, pratipasya tatha pare, sasyamiva martyaha pachyate, sasyamiva jayate punaha. So here she said, you gave a word in the Yajnashala. So I am giving you to the death, or Lord of Death, to Yama. And you made that as a promise, as a part of in the Yajna itself. And for that word that you gave as an offering in the Yajnashala, you have to follow. That's the law. And look at your own ancestors. Now he's looking, just like the Kaikeyi was telling to the Dasaratha, you gave me 2 boons, right? Now she asked the boons, says, after hearing, Dasaratha was debating. But she tells, because he knows he may debate, says, remember you come from the Surya Vamsha. All your ancestors, they follow every word they give. And what happens to if you don't follow? What happens to the next generations? They say, oh, my great-grandfather promised, but he didn't follow. I don't have to follow. So they will also follow a wrong path if you do this. Therefore, you have to stick to your word. That's what Kaikeyi's instructions to her husband after demanding that Bharata has to be crowned and then Rama has to go to the forest, right? So here, same teaching is now going on by the student, by the son to the father. So Anupasya yatha purve. Purve is all our purva, the ancestors of we are coming from a family of great sages and saints, and they gave words and they followed regularly whatever they gave. That too in the Yajnashala, you have to follow each word. And therefore, please examine yourself in the light of this. You are coming from that tradition. And pratipasya tatha pare. Also look down in case if you fail, even though you say yeah, they did it and there is no problem. Here I gave it because I was angry. So this is not, doesn't mean if in case if you think like that and try to justify not following it, then what is going to happen to the generations afterwards? They will use you as a reference for not following for any other excuse. Because you are using excuse that I gave it when I am angry. So therefore, pratipasya tatha pare. And therefore, this 2 statements means you have to follow the tradition and you have to follow the word that you have given. Okay? This is the first 2 lines. Then he says, what is this life? Why are you worried about all this? He says, this life is itself is temporary. We are just being born, and this life of even so-called 100 years is nothing in terms of cosmological time itself. And you are worried about this is mine, that is mine, this is mine, and all that attachments of this and that. Everybody kicks the bucket. Generations came, they thought they worried about their children and what is going to happen and all that. They left. The children again, they grew up and they are worried about their children, and this goes on and on. What is this worry? Why are you worried about? This is for us to teaching. And Nachiketa is teaching us, because we are the ones who worried about everything. For every day-to-day problems, we worry about it. What's going to happen? What's going to my daughter when you go to college? And what's going to happen? This, what's going to happen? That all this is worried. You went to college, you went, all that is gone, and now you are worried about. And when they come, they will be worried about their children. And it says, Sasyamiva Martyaha Pachyate. Sasyamiva is like a corn coming up. Corn is, maybe they have a lot of corn at that time, maybe. Sasyamiva says, like a corn is coming every season, every corns are coming, and of which again you eat, and then you deposit again and put it in the ground, and then new corn keep coming, and this is going generations. If you look at corn generation, so many generations of corn coming and going and coming and going. And the corn worrying, oh, what's going to happen to me? He says, what? This is life itself is temporary. So in fact, is in the Yaksha Prasna, Yaksha asks, what is the wonder of all wonders? And Yudhishthira answers, people see people are being born every second, every minute, all over the world. And people are also dying on one side, all over the world, and everybody thinks they are going to live here permanently, in spite of seeing both ends. And therefore, when it is a temporary, why worry so much? This thing also will pass away. So that is, whenever we are having a good time or a bad time, if we remember this teaching, then we have an attitude where we don't get attached to it. We enjoy what comes. You enjoy if it is suffering, enjoy when it is, because it also will go away. So here, a 9-year-old boy, let's fix his age as a 9-year-old, a 9-year-old boy teaching his father the highest philosophy here. Now you can see what is the mental state of the student here. So, Sasyami, so he has Vairagya. Essentially what we are talking about is, because he already showed, he has a Shraddha. Now, the scripture is telling us, he has already detachment to everything. So he looks, the whole life itself is just a passing thing. So nothing really belongs to me. So that's what Rama also, right? If you are the crowning tomorrow, you are preparing. First, he is ready to go without any problem, because he has no attachment to what comes by prarabdha. So that's what we have to also, prarabdha is whatever that comes because of the previous actions. Even jnani will be getting prarabdha. Prarabdha is because of which the body, mind, intellect is born. So therefore he will be going through that process, but at the same time he should have an attitude that it is prasadam. Lord is giving, good or bad, just enjoy it. And that becomes attitude. Here, the Nachiketa is reminding us, says, Sasyamiva, see, Martyaha Pachyate, says, we see all people are being reborn just like Sasyamiva. Sasyamiva is that like a corn sprouting again. And Sasyamiva Jayate Punaha. Again, they are like going away into the Netherlands. So no place. So Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, Jatare Sayanam, Yasamsare, Bahudustare, Krupaya Pare, Pahimurare. It says this whole cycle of life and death and life and death and life and death goes on. And this is an eternal cycle. There is no beginning for it, because Anadi. And there will not be end within that unless I transcend this cycle. Only way to get out of this cycle is that I recognize that I am never born. So I have to realize my true nature. What's born is only the body, mind, intellect. And that has to be understood. And here the Nachiketas is educating, or at least giving a sermon to his father about the nature of the life, and there is no reason for the father to worry about. Where is the sloka? I missed some sloka. 7, right?
Yeah.
Page 17.
Oh, okay. Vaishvanaraha. Vaishvanaraha pravishati.
Vaishvanaraha pravishati.
Atitihi brahmanaha.
Atitihi brahmanaha.
Gruhan. Sasyaitam shantim kurvanti.
Tasyaitam shantim kurvanti.
Haravai vashvatodakam.
Haravai vasvatodakam.
So, Vaishvanaraha. So, like a Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is a Jataragni, like a fire. Ham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. Says, I am like the fire inside the stomach, inside every being. So, verily like a fire. You have Vaishvanara is a fire. So, Brahmanaha Atitihi says, this Brahmin boy. So, what happens is, he has gone to Yamaloka. So, in between we have to understand what happened. So, he convinced his father and say bye-bye, Tara, and so on, and left to Yama. How he went, we don't know. He has reached Yama. And when he went to the Yamaloka, and whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, that the Yajamani, the householder, the Yama, is not in his house. He has gone out for some shopping maybe. Whatever the shopping he wants. So he has gone some camp. So Yama was not there. So he enters essentially. Vaishvanaraha pravishati. He entered that place like a fire. So he is a Brahmin with a tejas involved, because he is a Vedic Brahmin. He knows the rituals, and he has the tejas comes from following the rules and regulations, the Shraddha, and he is already Jnani, half Jnani more or less, because he was ready to teach his father also. So that, because there is no worry for him. When there is no worry, the face automatically blooms the happiness itself. So otherwise there will be what you call castral faces will be there. So that kind of the Brahmana, so this is Atiti Brahmanaha. So he entered as a guest. So Atiti means, Titi is, no, so Titi means date. Right? The one, if you have a date, it's called Titi. Atiti means without a date. So Atiti Devo Bhava says the one who comes without a date, means without any appointment. That's what it means. So he has to be treated like a god. That is our culture. That's why Atiti Devo Bhava means the one who needs something, only he comes. Who doesn't do that, he doesn't need to come to you otherwise. So if only when he is in need, desperate need, he comes to you. And therefore, he doesn't make an appointment and comes to you, because he suddenly has an accident or something else, and so he comes as an Atiti. So for him, we have to treat as though God has come to our house. So here he is giving an introduction here. What is the nature here? Vaishvanaraha, this is Brahmanaha, is like a fire, is Pravishati Gruhan, like an Atiti, he comes as a guest. Tasyaitam shantim kurvanti. So when he's a fiery person comes, you have to pacify him a little bit. So, and that too has come for as an atithi, as a guest. So you have to take care of him properly. How do you see? Essentially, tasyaitam shantim kurvanti. So hara vaivasvata. So it says you have to fetch water at least to cool down. So the udakam is, water is given for a guest to stay, to wash your face and wash your hands and so on. The first thing they do, because he has come from all the way. So essentially a protocol has to be observed when a deserving guest arrives home. So this Nachiketa went there, and the implication is the Yama was not there, and Nachiketa was staying outside. He didn't enter inside the house. Why? According to our scriptures, when the Yajamani is not there, a person, particularly a man, should not enter into the house of that, because only the ladies will be there. So the procedure is you stay back until Yajamani comes. So Nachiketa knows that. Even though he's a 9-year-old boy, he knows that he should not enter inside the house. So he stayed outside the house, and he stayed for 3 days without eating anything at all. So that's even more dangerous now, because he is a Brahmana, he is a Tejasvi Brahmana, like a fire, and not eating 3 days outside the host place, and there is no host to take care of it, and he doesn't want to enter inside the house. So that is the status. And when Yama comes back to his house after 3 days, the previous sloka this says is information handed over to him. So there, if you look back the sloka 7, it says there is a, if you look from that side, there is a Brahmin boy who has come, and he is a fire, like a fire, Tejas, and he is an Atithi, and you have to pacify him first by giving him, fetching him some water, and take care of his needs first. So Yama is as though either somebody, Yama's wife maybe, reminding him, hey, be careful, there is a fiery boy, a Brahmin boy has come, and we have to attend to his duties before you take care of any other ones. And if you don't follow the protocol, what happens is also being indicated in this next sloka. Asha pratikshe sangatam
Asha pratikshe sangatam
sonrutamcha ishtapurte putra pasumcha sarvan etad vrukte purushasya alpamedhasaha yasya anashnan vasati brahmano gruhe. So here, what happens, or what are the repercussions if you don't follow the protocols that are required? So here the Yama is either reminding himself or is being reminded. So this is what happens if you don't follow all this. So there is a boy there. So Asha, if you don't do it, what's going to happen? Asha pratikshe. Asha is hopes, and hoping something. I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope something good happens, going to happen. So all those ashas are going to be, something is going to happen. If I hope for something good in the future, it may not come if I don't follow the protocol. That's what implication is. So asha, pratikshe means some expectations which I know that is going to come also will not come. So asha is I'm not expecting, but I am hoping that it's something good will happen. So that is called, first is Asha. And Praticha is where I'm expecting already some good thing to happen, and that also will not happen if I don't follow this protocol. So Asha Pratiche Sangantam, so benefits of Satsangam, so benefits of that you get out of acquaintance with the noble people. So there are benefits that come by association with the noble people. That you won't get also. So here he is giving you what you will be deprived of for not taking care of the situation right now. So that's the Yama. This is also for teaching of all of us also in a way. So it's not for Yama, it's for us teaching, because Yama is already Jnani. Because he's going to teach Jnanam too. But he himself, even though Jnani, he's following the tradition. Number one. And in the process, is also the scripture is reminding us also, we have to follow these traditions and protocols coming from that tradition, because we have Shraddha in the scriptural statements. Remember? So, Asha, Pratiche, Sangadam, Srunudam cha, Srunudam says, Srunudam, whatever the merits of this speech that we have done, any good kind speech that you get a benefit out of it, that also you go into this. So if I can't give anything to people when they are in trouble, at least give a kindly words to soothe their suffering. That's the implication also. And by that process, you will be gaining the benefits of that. And those benefits will not come also if you don't follow this protocol. So implication is, if I had to give something, Atiti, if you don't have anything to give, at least give something comfortable for them to, words of also of comfort also. So here is Sunrutam cha. So merits of the kindly speech. Ishta Purti, that results of all my good actions in the past. That means all the punyam that I have done in the past, all those also will get lost if I don't follow it. Putra pasumcha sarvan etad nungte, says putras, the children, the sons, and pasumcha, the wealth, sarvan, everything, essentially, etad nungte, all these get destroyed if we don't follow the protocol. Anashnan vasati brahmanaha gruhe, if a Brahman stays in the house without, anashna means without eating, without a food. What is happening? This Nachiketas was staying outside for 3 days without even food. So if we don't take care of it properly, now these are the things that are going to happen. So it's a warning to all of us, as well as reminder to self-reminder or reminder by his wife to Yama. I don't know who is the wife of Yama, but anybody knows? So therefore, Yama knew this problem, so he immediately rushes back to Nachiketas. Once he came to know a Brahmin boy is sitting outside, he came as an Atithi because he was not invited, because he is not scheduled to come. Unscheduled visit. Therefore, he rushed to him, and obviously he gave Udakam for washing his feet as a guest, because guest is treated as a god. So Yama treats Nachiketas as a god and serves him and washes his feet and provides the argyam samarpayami that he provides. Then he knew that he has been waiting for 3 nights there without eating. So he was concerned, if he says something wrong, all his things may go, because the Brahmana boy must be very hungry. In the hunger, he will be angry also. In the anger, he may something which will be destroying the whole his kingdom maybe. So he has to be very careful. Says, therefore, he is trying to make some amends to the situation. Okay, we'll do one more sloka here. Tisro ratrihi yadavatsihi gruhami anashnan brahman atitihi namasyaha namastostu brahman swasti mestu tasmat prati trin varan runishva. Okay. Trisro ratrihi. So 3 nights you have spent here. So that yadvatsihi gruhami. So me gruhe yadavatsihi. You have spent 3 nights here in this anashnan brahman atitihi namasyaha. So you, O Reverend, O Atiti, Namasyaha, Brahman Atitihi, or you are respectable Brahmin boy. Brahmin, it's a Brahmin boy, he recognizes as if he's a Atiti. You came as Atiti and you are a reverential person and you have not eaten anything for 3 nights, Anashnan, so it is not good for me if you do it. Oh, Namastostu Brahman, my salutations to you, oh Brahmin boy. And Swasti me astu, please don't get angry with me. Swasti, let me be comfortable, let me be happy in my state. Swasti means essentially, may good accrue to me, means don't get angry with me. Tasmat prati, since you stayed outside 3 nights without even food, I had to do something for you as a compensation. Okay, essentially prayaschittam. So because it's not nice to keep a Brahmin, that to a boy, because Brahmin boy is very hungry, gets hungry, and 3 nights you have spent, and you are not an ordinary boy. You are essentially namasyaha atiti. You are a respectable Brahmin boy, because I can see from your tejas itself, and therefore prati trin varan runishva. So prati on behalf of the 3 days you have spent. So to counter that, essentially. For each of the 3 days, I am going to give you trin varan vrishishva. Please accept 3 boons that I am going to give. So in fact, Yama is offering 3 boons to compensate for his lack of not taking care of him because he was absent for the 3 nights, because of which this Brahmin boy suffered for not having the food. So obviously, our intelligent boy is going to demand three varams, and the first varam we will go next week, I think. The first varam is he wants to make sure the return trip. He has a return ticket, so he wants to make sure he gets a return ticket. And also when he returns, he wants to make sure everything is right there when he returns. All the things are so. In one varam, he demands such a way, asks such a way that his return ticket is there, and he goes back, and everything is well received there when he goes back. All that is packed in one varam itself. You can see the intelligence of the boy itself. This we will do next, and we will do now. Purnamada Purnamidam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Can stop.